Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you today with Marvel Comics Presents number 83. This is chapter 11 of the Weapon X event that we've been going over, where we're introduced to the backstory of Logan. And just like I've said in the other parts of this review, up until this point in 1991 when this came out, which this one has a print date of August 1991, none of us really knew Logan's backstory. Everything was kind of shrouded in mystery all through the Claremont era. So I really appreciate that Barry Windsor-Smith went out of his way to make a very engaging story. So after this book, there is one more, and we've gone over the complete series. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. And as I've said before, this one is Weapon X, Chapter 11. Using Ms. Hines as bait, the professor has set a trap for the rogue Logan in the fission exhaust pit. Story and art, Barry Windsor-Smith. Letterer is Jim Novak and Barry Windsor-Smith, and it's just kind of a two-man team. And again, there are other parts of this book that, because these stories are kind of a showcase in a sense, but we're not going to go over these three. We're just focusing on Weapon X. And if you remember last issue, Hines was standing in the fission control gate. Cornelius, see, I keep doing that. The professor is going to release it and kill both of them. He used Hines as a sacrifice, and she's begging. She goes, "Mr. Logan, I don't know if you can understand me, sir." And then the professor, "Good God, woman, don't beg. You are living the last few moments of your pointless existence. Don't waste them cowering and pleading to a mindless animal." But check this. At this, from issue 72 up until now, we've not really got like Logan speaking. We've got a little bit of inner dialogue and whatnot. But this is the first time where he actually utters a word. He goes, "I understand. I understand you." And here I like how so far Windsor-Smith has made him look sort of like a monster in the way he's kind of framed him, because he's very, very angry, to put it mildly, about what they've done to him. But here he actually looks like a wounded animal looking at a woman who's terrified, and she's talking about how she can't stand physical pain. So she's saying, "Kill me quickly." But I like how he says, "You don't matter to me. I want," and I like how he turns his head and their eyes meet. And of course, the professor pulls the fission gate, and you just see Hines get out of the way. And look at these bright reds and yellows with this sort of like vignette black shadows. And he's like, you can actually feel the heat from this fission reactor, which I couldn't imagine the magnitude of it, but the summer's here. I can kind of get a sort of an idea. And even like the pain on his face as he's starting to melt. And then remember, whenever we see these type of things, this is the professor talking to that unknown voice on the other side, who's kind of really bollocksed this whole experiment for the professor. He's talking about how I beat you. He's like, I served your every demand. You turned against. And then he stops and he goes, my God. And what I really like here is, that kind of fear of the unknown that you use in like horror stories. And that's kind of what we get here, is where we only get the professor's side of the conversation. We never hear who's on the other end, which I kind of wish Windsor-Smith would have explored a little more, which I don't know. I'll have to go back, excuse me, and see if Hama did that in any of his run on Wolverine, because there was an issue that we went over. I can't remember the number off the top of my head. I'll make sure to leave a little card thing you write in this little area here. But we actually are revisited with Hines and the professor, so we'll have to see about that. But anyway, the professor thinks that the corpse is being controlled by whoever's on the other end of the line. But what I like is Logan comes smashing through the control window. And he goes, am I dead? Is that what you done to me? And you see the anger, and then like the smoke and just dripping off his body from being basically molten lava. And then I like just the silhouette, so you don't have to see all the horror of what his face probably looks at, but you see the terror in the professor's face. Now this is kind of an iconic moment, so I want to read through this. He goes, dead. Walking dead man? Am I? You are an animal. I am Logan. Logan, I am a man. And you are the animal. That's just a very classic scene how Logan really just kind of regains his humanity and tries to remember who he is. But right here again, what I like is how what's the words I'm looking for? How Windsor-Smith uses the horror elements in this story. So we see the professor hitting the console screaming for security to help them. But as we've seen, Logan went through them so much fine tissue. So as we go from these stark reds, we go to these cold blues and purples of the hallways of Logan's destruction, and we see all these dead officers. So I kind of like how we go from all this action and reds, just vibrant, to just cold, hollow, quiet, dead. So that's really good work there. And again, we go from seeing Wolverine or Logan's silhouetted face here to just this horrid, deformed mess from being melted. And I like that he's actually talking after from 74 to 83. Off the top of my head, I cannot do math, but however many issues that is. But we finally get to see our protagonist talk, which I like how this was paced, and it really pays off here towards the end. So I'm going to leave it right there. These are kind of short reviews because, again, they usually cram 4 stories into these Marvel Comics Presents, so there's not a whole lot, and I don't want to spoil it because I want everyone to go out and either try to hunt down these old school individual issues or pick up the trade. Now, speaking of which, when we go into issue 84, it is a double size, which means the whole Presents issue is committed to this story. So when we get around to that is going to be awesome. And if you guys have enjoyed this comic, please make sure when you're looking for it to first and foremost support your local comic shop. And if you've enjoyed this review, we'd really appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. It helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you won't mind hitting that fancy little Weapon X bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and we'd love to have a dialogue with y'all down in the comments below or on our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description below. So with all that said, I hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.